Hello? 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 oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm live. Oh my god. I'm alive. I'm live on twitch.tv/shinobius2s_. Hello everyone. Hello. Hello Ishan, welcome in. Hello Yoshi, welcome in. Hello Toshi, welcome in. Hello Chi Bing. What a good little bean you are. I can't do it. No, she will for sure later in the game. I got ahead of her a few chapters and made. Really? Is it hard? Are you still in the castle, Itoshi? BL victim. Yeah, I'm a BL victim. I'm a victim of BL. Yeah, once you have a taste of it, you can never go back. It's like crack, you know? I'm in the mines? Oh! In the mines already? Damn. That's like the last part of the story, right? More BL? Show us the dirty tabs. I'm exaggerating. I don't have dirty tabs with just BL, okay? Some of it is straight smut, okay? So, you know. Yes, guys, yes. Actually, I read this new one. I was like talking about it with someone, but it was like, I forgot what's it called. Childhood friend complex. I think that's what it's called. And I read the raw ones, so it's like uncensored, and oh my god, it's so good. It's so amazing. Not that much smut, but like it's still really good. The story is still really good. The art's amazing. The art is so good. Like the main guy, oh, he's so good. Like he's so like he's such a like tsundere kind of ish, and like oh my god, I love it. Yeah. She has 15 tabs for smut and 15 for BL. Guys, come on. Some of them are not even like, you know, smut. They're like, you know, just action, you know? Like, I'm reading like, what is it, Chainsaw Man? I still need to catch up. I think I'm like three chapters behind. But yeah, Kaiju number 8, amazing. The manga is so good. Yeah, the art totally. Yeah, totally the art. You gotta link us, right? I mean, you know, I'm a pirate. Okay, I can't, you know, for legal reasons. You know, guys, come on, you know. Show stream? No, I can't. I'm gonna get banned. Okay, I'm gonna get banned on stream if I do. You know, copyright. If they find out, you know, Buns. Yeah. It's like one of those manhwas that are like, you have to pay to read them. You know, support the artist and the creator. But you know, the special websites that you can read it for free. You know, you didn't hear this from me. I heard it from someone, you know. No one would tell shit. Then like Patreon, yeah. Yup. Yeah. But how was everyone's day? You know? How was everyone's day? Oh my gosh, Shin, I tier 5 Patreon supporter. That's where all her money is going. Hey, I only follow. Okay, Patreon. I only follow like.
Thank you so much for the sub. Thank you for the sub.
Oh my god!
Thank you so much for the sub.
What the f? Thank you for the gifted sub, Yoshi. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the 5 gifted. What the F? Screw you. Get out of here. Sheesh, Poggers. Sheesh. Oh my god, Yoshi. What the heck? Use your money to buy food or something. Oh my god.
Thank you so much for the sub. Thank you for the sub. Thank you so much for the sub.
Thank you, Itoshi, for the gifted sub. Thank you, thank you. You just got chibi on a sub. Woo! He's buying you for sub. Hey, I don't know. Thank you, Yoshi. Thank you for the 5 gifted sub. Woof woof. Meow. Oh, I'm on my knees. Wink, wink.
Thank you so much for the sub. Thank you for the sub. Thank you so much for the sub.
Thank you for the gifted sub. Toshi, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the sub. Thank you for the sub. Thank you so much for the sub. Oh my god, you guys are crazy! Oh my god, stop doing that. God, goodness. Sheesh. Stay on your knees. I got triggered by the 77%. Why is it? This happens all the time. What? Guys, come on. Excuses. Use your money for something good. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Rent. Bills. Food. You know, get a dog. This is on your new dog or cat. I don't know. Jeez. Was Shinobi Lee? Good luck on your journey. Thank you, Toshi. Thank you. 100 is better than 77. But I give you one better. But 7 is a lucky number. And double 7 is twice as lucky than 100. Ha ha ha. See? Am I right? Or am I right? Using it for good. Donating is good. Donating for what cause, huh? Stress therapy pills. Stress therapy sessions. We're giving it to the goat. The goat. She's the goat. The goat. Oh my goodness. She's always right. Yep, I'm always right. Never left, guys. I mean, in this case, in my stream, I'm always on the left side. Help. No, I feel weird being like, ever since I started streaming, I always stayed on this side. I feel weird being like on the other side though. Like, here, like if I move on this side, it's weird. It is weird. I don't know. It's oh my god, it's weird because my monitor is like to my right. So if I play games, I look off screen. You know? So like over here, I'm looking at my screen, and then I look over here to reach chat. You know? Yeah. Makes sense, right? Yo. Oh my god, Panda! Welcome in, Panda! Welcome! You know you can mirror, right? You know, that's
Thank you so much for the sub. Thank you for the sub.
What the heck?
So much for the sub.
Thank you, Itoshi, for the gifted sub! Get alive! Thank you. Thank you so much for the sub. Finally, a reasonable time. Yeah. I mean, this is my usual time, okay? You know. Actually, this is a little bit early for me. Back then, I used to stream at like 10 p.m. 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Yup. It's crazy. But like, I've been starting my stream like a lot earlier at 9 p.m. That's pretty early, right? You're welcome. Thank you, thank you. I'm gonna look now. I'm gonna be playing some more Valor. Alright, Yoshi, good luck in your game.
Thank you so much for the sub. Thank you so much for the sub.
Oh snap. 10 months.
Oh my god, 10 months? Welcome in, Chaos! Thank you so much for the resub. 10 months resub. Oh my god, you're crazy. 10 months? Oh my god. It's been almost a year. Has it been a year since we met? I don't think so. I think we met in October. Oh my god, time's go by so fast. Oh my god. God, goodness. No, you're an hour late. She was planning early stream because she doesn't sleep. Yeah. Yeah. Good luck, step bro. Hey yo. Oh my god, Itoshi has been following Shinobi for 1 month, 18 days, 20 hours. Oh my god, it has only been 1 month. Tell you why it feels like it's been like 3 months for me. Yeah. Yeah, time going by so fast. Sheesh. Goodness gracious. Damn it, the bill limit is still up. Yeah, I added 2 more zeros. Yeah, 100k for bits. 100k. Yep. No more throwing bits, guys. Okay, only gifted subs because subs gives other people free ads. Or like, you know, free of ads. Not like they get ads for free, you know? Like yeah. It's only been a month yet and you're already trying to sell me to a ghost? What a friendship. Hey. If you think about it, at least, you know, I thought about you, you know? You know, when I think of selling a friend, you were the first person who came to mind. Isn't that great? That's alright, time to start buying 25k at a time. What the heck? No, Chaos! It's like $1,000. It's like over. It's like 1,300. I even calculated it. Like $1,300 for 100k bits. Stop. Go to text to speech for 200 bits. Yeah, my text to speech is only 200 bits. Also, welcome in, Bates Cakes. How was your day? Yo, Ada. Ada Wong is back. Ada Wong. Okay, Ada Wong. Yeah, I don't know if you're being sweet or just playing masochist. I'm being a friend. Challenge accepted? No. You better stop it right now, Chaos. I'm gonna ban you. Wanna shut up your Shinobi League? Oh yeah! Okay, my dear friend who I tried to sell to a girl, Itoshi. He made me he made me a thumbnail. Let me see if I can find it. Image. It's so funny. Not love it so much. It's basically an art of me in like Ada's clothing. It's so funny though. Like, did you guys see it? Like, it's huge. Oh my god. Look at that. I'm using it as my Resident 4 thumbnail. Yeah, it's amazing. Look at that. Like, he gave me such big boobs. Yo, hey yo. Amazing. Bro, you say Ada wrong again? Okay. Oh, Ada Wong. Damn, getting banned by giving a lot? Yeah. Don't be nice, guys. Be mean, okay? Bully other people. Like, don't actually, okay? Don't actually. But like, you know, sometimes you don't gotta be nice. Yeah. don't know where I'm going at. Be mean to people who wants you to be mean to them. I don't know. Ignore me. I gave you justice as a friend. Thank you. I love it so much. This is how you know Itoshi has been looking at my chest. Is sussy boy. Oh my god. I would ban you, Chaos. Bet. I give him money as a friend and I get threatened. Okay, but like, you're being too nice, okay, Chaos? Too considerate, too, like, don't do that. Like, I don't even ask for it. Chaos is like, here, take this, and he throw it, he mushes it in my face. You know, I'm like on the ground crying, and like he throws money at me. It's damn. I am not looking at your chest. Sure, buddy, sure. It's okay to deny it. We stay at Pirates. We always look for chest and booty. Ooh. That's funny, Buns. Or I just had two because I was looking on your bottom. Excuses, come on. Bro, is that how big your head is in real life? You know what? I do have a big head. Like, IRL, I have a big head. I'm big brain, guys. Like, actually, I have a giant forehead. Yeah, that's why I have bangs, okay, guys? Like, IRL, I have like bangs on my head because to cover, you know, my 5 head, you know, because it's a, yeah, there's too much space there. Yeah. Who said I was being considerate? I just like throwing money. Thank you, Chaos. Thank you. There's other people you can throw it at. You got an airport there? Can confirm. Yup, I do. Yes, I do. But we like big forehead to kiss. Ugh. Kissing? Disgusting. Goodness. So if you remove your bangs, you have another head hiding in there. You know, maybe. I'm not gonna deny that. Also, guys, I have like a very like prominent forehead. Like, I'm not kidding. It looks like I have like 2 horns. You know, I have like this. I don't know if it's just me, but like my mom always tells me I have like horns on my forehead because, you know, the bump on your forehead. Well, my bump is like very prominent. Not as prominent. It's like an angle. It's like a right angle, and it's a little bit weird. You know, I gotta cover it. Yeah. I mean, I've already drawn 100k bits to one friend and 200 to another. That's good. This guy keep doing that, Chaos, but not to me. I'm telling Star not to kiss you. Hey, Star can kiss her own girlfriend, okay, ma'am. So you're a goat, IRL? I am a goat. I was born a goat, guys. I was born a goat. You know, I always tell people this because, you know, I was born like the year of the horse. You know, like Chinese zodiac year of the horse. And I'm a Sagittarius, you know, that's double horse. And I'm always horsing around. You know, I'm like triple horse. I don't know what it means, but like triple. I like to think I'm extra funny. Yeah. No, you next. I will have my gold badge in another channel. Oh my goodness, chaos. You know, I was looking at that, like the bits badges. Only your name pops up. There's like 7 people on like the first badge. You know, the first bits badge, and then it's like chaos, 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 chaos. Crazy. Yeah, you're crazy, chaos. You're crazy. But goats with horns are dudes. You know, okay, I researched that, okay? Cause I thought that was true too. But there are goats that have horns. There are girls too, okay? Female goats can have horns, okay? It just depends on the breed, type of, not horse. Did I say horse? There are different types of goats. The type of breed of goats that have horns if they are girls. Yes, guys. Shenhornby. Shenhornby. Never mind. Start. Never mind.
Okay, gotta reach at least top 4 cheerers.
Alright, top 4? I don't even know who's top 4. Top 4 is Chaos, Yoshi, Mum. Mum is 700. And then Itoshi, number 4. Oh my god, Itoshi number 3?
And now I'm at top 3.
Oh my god, I just saw it. Oh no, Buns has been decrowned. Oh, so welcome in, General Boots Riz. Welcome in, Riz. Ada, mommy, I mean, yeah, mommy. Yeah. Like my thumbnail? Mr. Itoshi here made it for me. Yes, sir. Anyone else have 11k? 11? No, I have infinity. Bit? No, bits. Oh, channel points. Cause, yeah. Oh no, he stole my horns. No, he stole my glasses. Thank you for the head pass. Thank you for the bonk. Thank you for the redeems. Oh, thank you for the. Now I'm a bad goat. Guys, you know, I say that every time I get like the demon redeem. I'm a bad goat, you know, cause I'm buying like a goat. It's, I don't know, it's cringe now. I don't know why I keep saying it. It's a habit. Yeah, that's how goats sound like. Don't you just love singing like videos of goats? They're just so funny. And so thank you for the hydrates. I have not water, but I have sweet tea. Sweet tea that is mixed with a Monster Energy drink. Yep. It's good. Extra caffeine, you know? And extra sugar. Emo goat. What is the requirement for becoming VIP here? I don't know. Like, I actually don't know. I just gave it to like random people who like keep showing up here, I guess. Do you want one, Itoshi? I'll give you one. Bro, are you sure you're gonna be okay with that mix? Extra doesn't mean good, right? I mean, it's good, you know? I was like, I had like a can of Monster that was like unfinished, and then I got like this drink from like, cause I ordered some mac and cheese from this place, and I got a drink, and I was like, you know, I might as well just mix them, you know? It's good, you know? It's good. Yeah, I already got to work. Oh, got work to do. Actually, hope you have a wonderful day. See ya. Thank you, Riz. Thank you for the learn. Be sure you lock your doors, lock your windows, lock your closet, cause I'm gonna watch you work. Have a good day. Keep up the good work. I hope your day goes well. Just thought to ask, but we would love to have one. Ooh. Ooh, I see. Would love to have one too. I mean, I do have one, but alright, guys, it's been an issue. I've been drinking too many Monster. I can't stop it. I don't know. It's an addiction, and maybe I really need to go therapy or something. I don't know. It's fine. Okay, let me open my game. Put Ada Wong away. Shinobi Wong. Look at her looking at the closet after she died multiple times yesterday. Hey, you died too, okay, Toshi. So, hush. Leon is on therapy. We are fine. You know, you're right. You're right. I am Leon Kennedy. Leon Kennedy is me. Like my title. Alright, should we start? Okay, I'm gonna start. I've been talking for too long. It's been like almost 30 minutes. Okay, put this away. Oh, just... Okay,
Luis,
there we go.
where are you?
Sorry,
We're at the beginning of
Come to my rescue,
chapter 9.
Prince Charming.
I'll show you charming,
Yep.
pal.
A bill stomped by Leon.
As ordered.
You good?
Dance.
Sorry, you want to talk about Shen here? Doesn't matter what we do
Can't
to
believe
see.
that guy.
I won, you won? W? Yoshi? W? Oh my god. Okay. Hopefully I remember how to play. Because it's been like a week, I think. Okay. Oh, shit. I forgot you're here. Ashley. Okay. Yellow herb. Can I break this? Okay. Pestos. Pesos. Gunpowder. Oh my god. I'm so hot right now. He's hot? Oh my god. W, Yoshi? So proud of you. Are you winning your games? Like actually? Are you playing comp? Comp tonight? Okay. Where do I go? Do I just go here? Okay, I got Ashley back. Heavy grenade. Let me check my inventory. I could craft this. Okay. And if I find a green one, I can mix it with green. That's right. Yoshi, hot damn indeed. Yes, I'm winning. No comp yet. Why does Leon look like a skater boy now? What do you mean? He looks the same. I think. Yeah, I haven't changed anything. Actually, I was thinking of changing him, like changing his outfit to like the romantic one, the one that looks like Asterion, because I love Asterion. Asterion. I'm a huge. No way. Get away. Okay. Fight. Oh my god, not fight. Oh! Fuck! Shit! Get out of here! Dog? Ghost? Is he gonna come back? Okay. Okay. Hold on. Wait. Yeah? he got armor. Oh! Fuck. My aim is so bad! Oh my god!
Give me a break already.
There's another dog. I heard it. Oh my god. I wonder how many rooms I would see your stream that I missed. Yeah, Chichi's outfit. To have only... Oh god, you know, I would... If I could. If I could, I would. Totally. You did? Wait, are they one shot? What do you feel like?
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh, you're barely asking now, Ashley. Oh my god. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, dogs! Wait, can I shoot them through here? Ow! Oh!
Easier
God.
this way.
Please! Oh my god. Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed. Good night, Mom. Sleep well. Have a good
Spam
rest.
hydrate? No. Don't spam hydrate.
Oh my god. This is such an old clip. How many dogs am I gonna kill? Oh my god, please. He's still alive?
Thank you for the
Oh my god.
hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate.
Thank you for the hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate.
Guys,
Good night, Mom. Good night. Get out of here, leave, please.
Thank you for the hydrate. Okay, I'm switching to
Like
my
a
water
chessboard.
Alright. Thank you for the
They're showing
hydrate.
there's a mod for it. There's a mod to make
Chill.
Leon.
Hey, yo,
Leon
chill.
naked? Is it censored?
Daddy, chill.
Stop! Why is it playing this clip? What the heck?
Yo, chill, guys.
What the hell? Why is it this clip? Goodness. Jeez. Ew, chill. Shit. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. My like, oh, freaking shit. Yeah, now we need the good boy one. No! No, I don't even remember the good boy one. I mean, I do, but like, that was so long ago. That was like 1 year ago, Shinobi. I think it was a year ago. Like, almost a year ago, Shinobi. Oh my god. God, the goodness. She was young, naive, and like, would do anything. I mean, I still do, okay? But like... Goodness. Okay. Die! Don't get up. Goodness. Yeah, give me free fence. Yeah, I do it for free. All you gotta do is ask.
You heard?
No.
That's what I tell everyone. You want me to do fan service? Just ask. I'll do it. Okay, this way. Come here. I hear you. I hear you.
Keep coming.
Where are you? Oh. I'm running out of bullets. Oh wait, I could make her do that? Wait. No way. She could have done that? Control.
Hold this down.
Hold this down! Am I just gonna leave her?
Be careful.
I fucked up so bad as well with my ammo. Yeah, I heard. I think I was like falling asleep and I heard you in my head. Itoshi. You were like running out of bullets. Oh. Flags?
Hey, look! The flag's been lowered.
Okay, now what do I do? Do I just jump down? Oh my gosh. Finally, I got to your head.
Ashley, run!
Yep. Run, Ashley! You. Oh fuck. He punched me! Wait, shit! Get out of here!
Ashley.
Hold on, hold on. Okay. Oh my god!
Shit.
Where's Ashley?
Give me a break already.
Is he dead?
Right?
Yeah, I knew you'd come.
Yeah, sure. What if I abandon you, huh?
Yeah.
You gonna trust me?
I'm fine.
Okay, where do we go now? Here? I'm thinking it's over here. Oh, no, not here. Over here! That's what she said! Can't go through here. We gotta go up. Up. Come on, Ashley. Wait, there's nothing here! Oh. What is this one? I love mazes. I love mazes. Honestly, I hate mazes. I have really bad, I don't know, perception of like where I'm going. Not gonna lie, every time I drive, I use GPS. I don't trust myself, you know? Like, even though I know where I'm going, I still use GPS because I don't trust myself. Yes, I drive! Get her! Oh my god! I shot her.
Okay?
I shot her! Oh my god. Okay. You good, Ashley? You good? You fine? Yeah, I shouldn't be a driver though. I like failed my driver's test like twice. I had to like retake my permit, do the entire paper test all over again. Like 3 times. I failed so many times. I don't know why I'm driving. I'm not even a good driver. Did I just witness Shen trying to murder? It was an accident. She got in my way, you know? Where do I go though? Here? This is the beginning though. At least you passed? Yeah, at least I passed, right? Yep. Oh fuck! It's a fucking snake. Oh my god. There you go. I didn't want to use my shotgun ammo. Oh, is this where I came from? Map. Okay. Coin. Oh, there's another one right here. Okay. Back around. Wait, no. This way? This way? This way? Okay. Oh. Yeah, I would recommend saving it too. It would save you a lot later. Oh. Yep. I mean, I love my pistol gun. I bet you if I play this game again, like a second run, I could probably
Finally get out of this maze.
beat it with just the pistol. Probably. We'll see. Come on. Just go. Ignore them. Come on. Okay. Come on, Ashley. Get in here. Well, you can beat this without merchant too. Really?
Ballroom must be this way.
Oh, maybe. Am I up to the challenge though? Am I ready to be stressed? I don't know. I love challenges though. Hmm. Should I go in here? Are you open? Okay, you're locked.
It's locked.
What over here? This door?
Got some new wares, stranger.
Oh, shit.
You're in for a treat.
Oh, hello. Merchant tip. Next level upgrades. I got some good news, mate. I've recently procured some high quality tools. Now I can do even more nasty upgrades on those weapons of yours and make them sing even louder. For the right price, of course. Give us a shout if you're interested. Alright. What is this? 4 medallions. Okay. 4 medallions. Wait, is there a game here? Okay, there's a game here.
Why not? Welcome. I got
Oh my
something new for you.
I played a game with kids and they kept calling me Uncle? Uncle? Is that what a UNC is? Uncle? Repair this.
Good luck to you, stranger.
Power. Oh, what is UNC? I don't know what UNC is. What is UNC? I don't know these like terms.
Mold the weapon to suit your specific needs.
UNC? What is UNC?
Come back when you can
Oh,
actually
45. Can I sell some stuff? I can sell this, right? You, Uncle without the L.
No
What?
difference.
Uncle without the LE? Might as well write the LE. If you can write 3 letters, can you write 2 more? That's what? That's so dumb. Jeez. Okay, extravagant clock. That's like
Thank you.
that's so. That's,
Come back anytime.
you say onk? You ever heard onk? No, I ever heard onk. What? Just say onk. Goal. That's only another syllable more. Is it really that hard? Go on. Ooh, put the yellow one here. Oh, put it in, please. I'll sell that.
Welcome.
But it's onk. It's slang. I have never heard anyone say that. Okay, never ever. Okay, onk you.
I'll buy almost anything.
Should I sell the? I'm gonna sell the viper. Okay. What do I not need? What do I not need? I think that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, tune up. I'm gonna make this my red 9 super strong.
Dazzled, are you?
Level 4.
Our craftsmanship demands.
Damn, 65,000? I'm so close to it though. Should I do this then? Fire rate.
A well-tuned weapon can
Increase
make
power
up
by
for
1
a
point.
lack of skill.
What?
friend.
Oh my god. It's with the kiddo news. Damn, I'm aging. I'm getting old. Goodness gracious. Like guys, not even kidding. I learned what cat means like a year ago. Literally, I learned what cat means.
This kind
I asked
of
my
work
friend, I was
is
like, what
about
does cat mean?
finesse,
She's like, you
stranger.
don't know what cat means?
Little bit
I'm
goes
like, no,
a
I don't know
long
what
way.
cat means.
You'll see. Pleasant travel.
Okay, hold on, let me look at my
Welcome. I've got
Okay,
something
F4.
new for you, mate.
TNP stock?
Oh, my back is killing me. Years haven't been kind to us. I suppose.
Gunpowder. Is it? Okay.
Suit is
Ooh,
welcome.
what can I buy though? First aid, resources, case upgrade. Hold on, wait, I'm taking this.
That there's pretty
And I'm buying this.
big.
Okay,
Enough to get the job. Come back anytime.
come back anytime. Okay, let's save. Hold on, let me look at my storage. Like that. Put this here. Can I make ammo? More handgun ammo, please. And then rifle ammo. I have a lot of rifle ammo though. I think this is fine. Okay. Save game number 25. Shotgun upgrade, you can? No cap? No cap? Okay. I don't have money though.
Well,
I missed it all.
Well then, what can I do you for?
Wait, how much is it though? Oof.
Molding a
I'm
whip.
poor. I'm poor. It's okay. I want to play this. Oh, she's coming with me. Can I leave her behind? Is that possible?
Congratulations! I've prepared a new game for you. I think you'd like this one.
Okay.
Use a submachine gun if you want to make quick work of the targets. If you can live with the lack of precision, that is.
Submachine gun. TMP. Right gun. Should I did this one, I did this one. Let me try this one.
3, 2, 1, begin!
High score, here
Oh,
we
fuck.
come.
Shut the fuck up! Ah! Oh my god! Mess up. I gotta reload. No way! Oh my god.
Reload!
How do I zoom in? What? Some of me weird. Come here right now! Oh my god.
Sweet.
Sorry, mate. That's
fuck?
a penalty.
Fuck! No, he flipped! Oh my god.
That's your lot.
You know, not that bad. Not that bad. Not that bad. Oh, Ashley's pose is kind of hot. You look at her sitting in the barrel. She's sitting in the barrel. Oh my god! Wait, Ashley, you're a sassy gal. You know, at first I thought her scarf was bleeding, but it's just red. Oh my god, why is she looking at me like that? Trying to seduce me or something? God damn, behave yourself.
A shotgun.
Damn.
That can cover a lot of area.
Should be distracted by the sexy sailors.
Talk about bang for your buck.
I mean, I love a man in a uniform. Should I do this? I'm gonna try this.
3, 2, 1.
I told them about my aura and they thought.
Got this, Leon.
Oh, hold on. Dogs?
Outstanding.
Oh my god. Sorry, I had to reload. I had to reload!
Keep up that pace. You missed.
Sorry! Oh my god.
That'll do it.
That was good! That was good, right? Come on, I shot literally everyone. I missed like what? I missed 3! I missed 3! That's, and I got a B for that? Come on, you're pulling my strings right now. Well done, thank you.
We were right.
I feel like B isn't good though. I feel like I could have done better. Huh, right then.
3, 2, 1. Begin.
High
Triple kill.
Yeah, 3 at once.
Brilliant. Incredible.
But,
Reload.
okay, Leon.
Double kill. Sorry, mate. That's a
Shit! My bad. I killed like 3 of them. What did I say? Fuck. Damn. I feel like I did good. S! See, guys, I did good. I did good. I got a gold token, a silver token. Damn. S tier, S tier. Hold on, let me. Can I use it?
Good job, Leon. Have fun.
Yes, I did. I have three golds. Give me something good. Give me something rare. What is this? Leon? That's kind of ugly though. What is he wearing? What about this? Come on, even my Ada one looks better. Beetle? 100% recovery item resale value. Okay, I could just sell it. There you go. Isabel! It's common, but I kind of like it. 30% health recovery for Vipers. Should I try again? I want to try that again.
Having a hard time hitting a target. It's all about positioning.
This one?
3,
Okay.
2,
Okay, I'm gonna look away.
begin.
Show 'em what you got.
Shit.
Fuck, I missed.
Double kill. Triple kill. Reload.
Reload.
Incredible.
How am I supposed to shoot that?
Double kill.
Actually,
You missed. You're an art. Incredible. Double kill.
he was in the way. Not my fault.
That'll do it.
I would be a terrible cop. 2 tokens. Ooh. Hold on, I want another token.
A rifle can take out multiple targets with a single round. Rate of fire leaves a bit to be desired, though.
So the A B B S A. What's this one?
3, 2, 1, begin.
You got this, Leon.
Why am I so bad at this? Oh my god. Whoop. My bad, bro. My bad. What's that do? Oh, that was a. Oh.
Reload.
Shot.
Oh my god. Pop out your head, please!
Superb shot.
Fuck. Fuck, I had to reload. Reload already, Leon! Oh my god.
That's your lot.
That's it? Ugh. I think I did okay. I didn't get a reward!
Nice one, Leon.
Fuck, you know what? I'm leaving. That's so whack!
You're a
Okay.
pro, aren't you?
Thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Can you press that? You're in my way. Please. Damn. I finished 11-0 last game. 11-0? Did you carry Yoshi? W. Nice. Proud of you. What is this? I need a. Okay.
Ooh, you have the stench of battle on you, mate.
Dude, he just called me stinky. I'm not gonna lie, actually it's more flirty in the remake. Really? Wait, am I supposed to go here? Can I go over here? Let me check.
Look, there's a statue up there.
I see that. No heads. Oh, we have to collect the heads. Okay. Got it. I know what to do. The OG Ashley is just a brat. Oh. I see. Come here. Oh, my alarm. Stop. Okay. How do I take out my knife again? Do I just... Oh. What?
Huh. Dining hall.
Oh.
Eat here.
iPhone reveal?
No, thanks.
Yeah. It's my iPhone. Okay. Can I not take out my knife? Oh, I don't have a freaking knife. That's why I don't have a knife? Okay. Where's the other rat?
Statue of some snakes.
Statue of some snakes. Anything else we need to grab here? Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh, red herb. Give me that. I need that. That's it? It is this weird owl. You got this? Okay. I got this. Blue medallion? Ooh. 1 out of 6.
So, you do a lot of missions like this?
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
Nikki, small talk
But
now.
I'm not used to having
Ashley.
such good company.
Is that a compliment?
Did I miss? I missed so many medallions. Wait, one right here. Right there.
Take it however you want.
Oh, I see. Okay. Is there one here? In the middle? Is it... Am I blind? Is it not here? Oh, I see. Is that it? Okay. Sign, gonna swing from the chandelier. You know, I learned that song is about her hanging herself. That's I did not know. I did not know. I thought it was just about her feeling pretty or something. Yeah, it's about her wanting to hang herself, and she wants to swing like a chandelier. I did not know that. I thought it was just her feeling herself. I did not know. Like it shocked me so bad. Yeah, it's so dark. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, crazy, right? I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was so speechless when my friend told me that. Oh, mummy told me that, and I was like, no way. Yeah, you
Leon,
lied
this
to me.
armor. Bet you could use it like a bulletproof vest.
Little old-fashioned for my taste.
Too bad.
Can I
I think
actually
you'd look
do it?
pretty dashing.
Can I mix this? Craft. Okay, and now I have one red. Can I open this? small key. Okay. Why are you always panting? Okay. It's a head here. Okay, was it a puzzle the other game? Oh, the other room? Was there a puzzle? Wait, there's a medallion next to Ashley. Get out of the way, please. Oh my god. Oh my god, is that the Hovey? Welcome in, Hovey! How was your day? Ashley's trying to be friends with Leon. The other room was a puzzle. Oh, what? Okay, hold on. Wait, let's go to the other room first. Wait, should I do this room first? Is this the puzzle room? I'm kinda scared to jump down.
Ashley, stay up there.
Okay, be careful.
What's happening? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Come on, you can't be serious.
Woo! I'm done. W, Claire? Oh, no, fucking W, Ashley, I mean. Oh my god. Sorry. Wrong person. Wrong person! I don't know why I said Claire for. I don't know why. Okay. Jeez. I love Claire. Gotta love Claire. Woo! Fuck. Fuck, that fucking statue blocked me!
Ashley, it's okay. Just stay safe.
Es bueno, Ashley. Is the other guy died? Oh. Okay, is that everything? Done. How many are there? Okay, I'm going against 3. Damn it, Ashley. Why here? Right
Piece
there.
of shit.
Woo! Oh my god, so close. No more bullets, no more bullets. Do something, Ashley, please! Okay.
Are you okay?
No! Oh my god! Damn.
Nighty night. Nights.
Okay, I don't know why I said Claire, okay?
Leon!
Claire was like 2 games ago. I don't know why I said Claire. That's habit.
Leon!
Come here. Come here.
Nice catch.
You did well.
Sure
Thank
you're
you,
all right?
thank
You're
you.
not burned, are you?
Twas good. How's you?
Thanks for your
I'm
help.
doing good. I'm doing
That really
good.
did the trick.
My dog's yelling at me. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna kick her out of my room. My day was good.
No problem.
I went to go touch grass and then what did I do? I lost a nap. Yep. Okay, BRB guys, BRB. Okay, guys, I'm back, but I'm gonna I'm gonna go into the bathroom really quick, and I'll BRB again. BRB again. I gotta go into the bathroom. Okay, I am back for reals. Here, now, okay. Alright. Welcome back, part 2. Welcome back. Welcome. Oh, she went AFK? Yes, I went AFK. Wait, what did she say? Yoshi? Don't worry, sooner or later you'll start calling Leon Whiskers. I will not. I love Leon. And I despise Whiskers. Come on, you little rat.
Think
Come
they're
here.
gonna move, do you?
Come here, you little rat. Come here. Fuck. Okay, I need one more rat. Whiskers. Yep. You call him Whiskers here, guys. Boot knife. There you go. Sensei, look, hot blonde men. Hot, tall, blonde, and hot. Okay, back here. I could lose this hair now, right?
Ooh,
This?
you have the stench of battle on you, mate.
Ooh. Hey, this is easy. You missed the last money? Did I? Did I actually? Let me
Why not
go
treat
back. Wait, oh. This. Am I missing anything else? Wait, there's another one here. An ammo? There's another thing here? What am I missing there? Ammo? Is it on top? Is that why? Okay. Going back to the top. Ignore me, I lagged out for 2 minutes. Alright. Alright, Yoshi. Alright. Okay, I went up, right? Up. Yeah, you are good. What a good boy you are. Ha ha ha. 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 Huh. Let's go over here. I went up, right? Up here. Was it this room? Okay. What am I missing here? Treasure? Treasure here? Treasure here? What? No, this room? How do I grab that treasure though? Is it hanging? Oh, it is hanging. Silver token. Silver token. Lemma, I was referring to you not to go back there because you got everything. Oh! Oh! I see. Okay. Okay, let's do this way. This has to be a puzzle too, right? Over here. I'm scared to go over here. Wait. Let's go over here, Ashley. Over here. You just gave me a free fan service. yeah. Just, you know, ask. All you gotta do is ask. You know, you want me to bark? I'll bark for free. How do I do this? Can I open this? No? Okay. Can I tell her to like... Oh, okay, I know. She has to sit in there, right? And I sit in that one. White wine cup. Okay. Oh,
Have a seat.
Okay.
and I said this one. Right?
Huh. Nothing's happening.
Is that not right? Oh, maybe. Wait, let me look at the utensils. Is- Okay, she has 2 and 2. Spoon, fork, knife, knife. Spoon, fork, fork, knife, knife, knife. That's right, right? Oh no, that's not right. Spoon, fork, knife, knife. This is this one.
Ashley.
Got it.
Wait, no, not that one. Is it this one? Wait, no. And then I sit. Spoon, fork. The one was the 3. Spoon, fork. This one? Oh shoot. No, wrong button. Okay. Is it not right?
Gotta be missing something.
Oh, bread. I'm missing the bread. Oops. Spoon, fork, fork. Oh, it's right. This one. Okay. Ah.
Looks like we figured it out.
Easy. I'm so smart, guys. I'm so smart. I'm so smart.